What's up? Hey, Ash. All right, I can hear me. Hey, Jen, can you hear me? Do I have a Jen or a Sean? All right, awesome.
I'm here. Sorry about that. I had this behind another screen. Should we give it a couple of minutes for people to join?
Yeah, we can just chat and chill. What's going on, everybody?
Hey, Gabriel. I hear you've got a story for me. Digging the new haircut, Conrad.
I'm trying new things. You know, I'm down here. I'm at Bunker Labs this week with Maggie. Kind of check out. They got this whole all these Bunker Labs mugs, and they got this whole facility here. Just kind of going around.
I love that industrial look.
Say again?
I love that industrial look.
I don't know if you can, Ashley. I've never tried it anyway. All right. You want to give it till like 5 or 10 after. Oh, double clicking does it? I didn't know that. Hey, Hilt, what's up, man? What do you think? Oh, hey, I can hear you. All right, we're gonna give it another minute, and then Jen, you think we should go ahead and get started?
Sure, sounds good.
Hilt's here.
What's up, man?
It's hot here. Don't like that.
You're in the beautiful Bay Area too.
Yeah.
Well, it's every day over in the Bay Area.
Yeah, down in the valley. It's not like the city, man.
Roger.
Conrad, are you one of those people who hangs up the phone and says "out"?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I totally do that.
You disgust
When I pick up the phone, I do. You know, I refer to myself as Rockstar 6. You know, I just gave myself that. I never had that call sign. I just decided, you know what? I think that would be a badass call sign. I'm just gonna give myself.
Aren't you Taco Derp now?
Taco Derp?
That's you. Soon that'll be you, right? You'll be Taco Derp 6.
No, I'm still emailing to set up interviews to be Taco Derp 6.
All right, let's go ahead and kick this off. So we got a few folks here on Slack, and they can jump in. We're live streaming now, and I just want to talk a little bit about what we got going on at Operation Code, because there are a lot of folks who we have on the call who are live streaming, who've been with us for a while since this thing started, and there are some folks who are a little bit new, and they come here, they come on the Slack, and It's a great place to hang out. Talk to folks who are interested in technology, talk to civilians who are like senior software engineers. Hang on, we got Nico.
Okay. Got him.
Y'all might want to mute your microphone unless you want to talk.
All right, cool. I think we're good now. Ashley, we good? Cool. So we have folks from all different communities here, veterans, military spouses, and we come here, work on open source stuff, talk about coding, help each other learn, and that's great. One of the things that I want to remind us about is sort of why Operation Code came into being and why we exist, like in a bigger sense. So to go to that, like all of us have had challenges, or we know people who have had challenges entering the civilian workforce. Looking at the numbers, like veterans and military spouses, it's about 350,000 unemployed people a year combined. If you look at military spouses, the unemployment rate is 4 times the national average. When you stop and think about how many military spouses there are, that's like insane. However, at the same time, we're looking at, like in this country on the long term with the Bureau of Labor Statistics, that we are actually short on computer science people. We are short on CS grads. We are short on STEM people. We're looking at, by the year 2020, 1.2 million tech industry positions that we're short, that we cannot fill in this country right now. Now, you can look at these two problems like, okay, we don't have enough tech people, we don't have enough, and veterans and military spouses aren't getting employed. And you can look at those two things and be like, wow, those are two really huge problems. But David Molina looked at this. Hey, David, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey. So David, our founder, looked at this and he saw a solution, not a problem. And that's what Operation Code is. Our mission at Operation Code is to help the military community learn software development, enter the tech industry, and code the future. And what we do and what each of you do to contribute with mentorship and volunteering and being available to answer questions, this mentorship and the scholarships to coding boot camps and the scholarships to conferences, you all enable each other to move into careers in the tech industry. And a lot of these careers, depending on where you live, I mean, if you're in the Bay Area, if you're in the Midwest, there's different starting salaries, but we're talking over 60 grand a year. That ain't chump change, especially when you're coming straight out of the service. When we started, David, when you started, there were no code schools except in the GI Bill, and today it's 25. So I want to take a second and recognize the effort that our founder put into making that happen, because it was not just one person here, one person there. It was the inspiration of seeing what this could look like that made this happen. So it's kind of weird to do applause on a call, so I'm not gonna ask you to do that, but I just want to take a second to recognize what David Molina has accomplished.
Hear, hear.
Go up. Now, one thing that a lot of folks don't understand, I think you all in this call understand, but a lot of folks don't want to identify themselves as veterans or military spouses at work. They're not going to raise their hand and say, hey, I'm a veteran. I mean, some folks wear it on their sleeve, sure. But other folks, like, they kind of keep that on the down low. They don't, go around wearing that status that they're a veteran or a military spouse. Because sometimes it ain't good for business. It ain't good for your career. And that's bullshit, right? You should be proud of who you are and what you've accomplished and what you're a part of. A lot of companies, they have this diversity gap and they don't even realize it because nobody's saying it. Nobody's reporting it. Nobody's raising their hand and advocating about it. Well, what we want to do at Operation Code is we want to transform the way that our community is perceived in the workforce. And we see a future where every member of the military community is enabled to pursue these successful careers in the tech industry so that folks enter into leadership and management roles like Josh Springer over at Red Hat, for instance, who came to this community, got the job, became a manager, then hired more people into this community. And that's incredible. Like, this is veterans helping veterans. This is spouses helping spouses. This is veterans helping spouses. This is spouses helping veterans. This is even Army helping Navy, all right? This is Army helping Navy and Marines helping Air Force. This is transformational stuff, guys, all right? This is pretty crazy. So I want to take a second and recognize, like, what you all are doing for each other is pretty fucking incredible, okay? I'm going to swear. I mean, I assume that's all right with you all. Okay, good. Air Force helping Navy. All right, correction. My bad. And for military spouses, this is huge, right? This is a second income. This allows for remote work. So many folks don't understand the choice that folks have to make with like family versus career. Well, what's that animated GIF? What's that like meme? Why can't we have both? Why do you have to make that compromise? Why can't you have a family, have a career, and bring in a second income, right? And that's what technology enables you all to do. And that's what we're here to accomplish. So I want to just take a second and like look back as to like what Operation Code is about. So what's been going on with Operation Code lately? So myself and Maggie, we've been here in Chicago and San Francisco and in DC, all over the place, talking to folks like Student Veterans of America, talking to American Legion, talking to VFW, talking to foundations, and getting to work, basically, figuring out what's going to take to bring Operation Code to the next level. So if you all are familiar with the troop leading procedures, I think some of you, if you've gone through your NCO school, I don't know if they call it so I'm Army, but I don't know what the Marines and the Air Force call it. We're kind of at like consolidate and reorganize mode. We're looking at everything that Operation Code does and figuring out ways we can tighten things up to be more efficient and more effective and be even better. And that's been a really great experience because while we're here, we've talked to so many folks one-on-one. We've learned so much from people. We've been, if you all heard of Veterati, we spent a lot of time with them. We've talked with Your6, Dogtag Bakery, a lot of other veteran service organizations here. And the insight and the connections that we've made in terms of figuring out how do we move the needle and make this shit right for our people, that's been outstanding. And that kind of brings us back to like Operation Code, right? So what does that mean for us and how are we moving forward? Well, I want to take a second and think about what got us to this point. Like what made Operation Code the way it is? How come we have just short of 3,400 people in the general chat right now? How come that we got to that point? Well, I think there's like 4 reasons that happen. And the first is that we believe in paying it forward. We believe in representing the value of giving first of our time and of our knowledge. And I see that from everybody here. We all like are willing to take a step and help people. We're all willing to like, we might know this person, but they've already passed the test, right? They're already coming in, they signed up, they're a veteran or military spouse or they're a civilian volunteer. They already took care of business. So we're helping because that's what we do. We help each other. That's what we're about. We bring people together. And that's, I think, key to Operation Code is that this is not a .mil only club, right? There's enough .mil only clubs. There's enough of that. We're here to not just have, we want veterans to have a place where they can work and learn this stuff, but we also want to be inclusive. We want to bring people in. We want to bring people together because veterans are not just folks who have served their country. Military spouses are not just folks who serve their country. They're also leaders. And each of you are leaders because you stepped up and decided to be a part of this. So I want to say thank you for deciding to be a part of this here at Operation Code. Alongside that is one team, one fight, right? We work with other local organizations to accomplish the mission. I see we have a few different chapter leaders on the call, and the stuff that you do in Virginia Beach, in New York City, in Seattle, in New Orleans, in Austin, in Columbus, in Chicago, in Raleigh, the stuff that all of you are doing, and I know I left some places out because I'm not gonna like read off a map right now, but you all know what you are doing. You all know the connections that you're making, and you all know the people that you're talking to, and you all are making good stuff happen in your local area. Jen and I wanna tell those stories. Let us know about the folks that you're helping. Let us know about the folks that you're working with and how you help them be successful, because that's the story that we wanna tell. That's what we want more people to hear about, is what you're doing in your local area to take care of people, because that's what the military taught us to do, to take care of each other. It's one team, one fight. And last but not least, we treat each other with respect. Each of us taking on that responsibility, not just as veterans and military spouses, but as leaders, we represent our code of conduct and we uphold a higher standard of behavior. Because our mission is not just to get veterans and military spouses into the tech industry. We want you to be successful there. We want you to be leaders there. We want you to stay there. Or do whatever you want, but we want you to be successful there. We want you to get all the promotions, all the raises. We want you to be really successful in your careers. And that means exhibiting a higher standard of behavior, something that's expected of somebody who wears the flag on their shoulder, all right? So when I look back on that, I think that's what got us to this point. And I think that's what's gonna take us to the next level. So here's where we're going. The past few weeks, I've gotten a lot of requests to start new chapters. Sean McBride, helping out in DC. Folks helping out in Austin. Charlotte, North Carolina, got a request for that. James Larimer, who's overseas in Kuwait at Camp Arif John, wants to start a chapter. We're getting more folks overseas who want to start chapters in Afghanistan. I get requests for this more and more. And like, I see the demand for Operation Code, or at least connecting with somebody else who's a geek too and wants to learn this stuff, or who wants to be a geek. But who wouldn't want to be a geek, right? Geeks are pretty great. Is anybody here who doesn't identify themselves as a geek? Are you all talking about Bojangles? Because I'm actually wicked hungry and I skipped dinner, so this conversation is killing me right now.
Suffer.
Okay, I see. I like how that's the one thing you said too in this island. That was like shocking to me. I was actually like, my heart skipped a beat when you said that, Kelly. That was amazing. So when we talk about building strong communities, what we're talking about is the work you all do working with industry, talking to co-working spaces, helping folks that you know, helping your brothers and sisters get jobs. That's what I'm talking about when you're building those strong relationships. Like David Lim, for instance, in Seattle, he's working at Amazon, he's connecting up with Bunker Labs, he's connecting up with Zillow and all these tech companies. So all the work that you all doing as chapter leaders or is just members contributing and talking in general. That's amazing. And it's really about just building that bridge between the military and the tech industry, because one way to look at it is there's only so many military folks who make it in the tech industry. I see it differently. I see it as we can get the best of the military and we can get the best of the tech industry and we can bring that all together and we can make some really good things happen in the world. Another thing that we've been working on is a lot of helping non-tech communities understand like what we're about, because the VSO community, they have a lot of perspective on what's going to be able to take care of vets. And a lot of us, we're post 9/11, not all post 9/11, a lot of folks who drink every time. I wish I could, man. Like, I actually don't have that within access. You know what? Next time, Bob, you hold me to that. All right. Next time, before you start this thing, make sure you have an alcoholic beverage. I'll be tracking on that for next time. Let's take a note.
You got to do it, man.
Right. All right. So we've been working a lot of fundraising, grants, individual giving. And when we talk about fundraising, we talk about grants and giving and sponsorships and all this stuff. The intent here is so that we can send more y'all to coding boot camp, so we can send more y'all on these tech conferences and all these scholarships. We had plans to do a lot of events this year, and because of the fundraising, we didn't all pan out, like with OpCodeCon and stuff like that, but that's okay. And that's okay because it doesn't stop us from helping each other right here online. And it doesn't stop us from figuring out how we can get good career outcomes for each other. It doesn't stop us from making references. It doesn't stop us from reviewing resumes. It doesn't stop us from mentoring. So I just want to have an understanding of why, as Operation Code, we do look at raising money and grants, that stuff. So that brings me a little bit to where we're going, because if you go back to the mission, we're about learning software development and entering the tech industry and coding the future. So what's code the future mean? So I'll tell you what code the future means to me. And what that means to me is that we're building things that help people. And we're already doing that. Our website is open source, but each of you, like the On Belay project, you're all working on your own open source projects. And what I love about it is the open source projects that I see you start. I mean, some folks start like open source projects to, fix a problem that they have. And that's what you all are doing too, but you're doing it to take on social missions, like the On Belay project, or everything else that I've seen, like Aubrey working to help vets.gov. Like, all of you are doing things with engineering that help people. And I'm always struck by that. Like, how many folks, they get that career in the tech industry and they said, you know what? I'm glad I have these jobs. So fresh and so clean. You don't even know, man. You don't even know. I feel clean too. So many of you have like taken on work and taken on jobs that help people. You've learned all this engineering stuff and you're using it to help other people. And that's what we want to focus on when we talk about code in the future. We've been looking at a lot of the stuff that we've built as open source and figuring out what can we build to help more people, because that's ultimately what we're about. We're about service, we're about citizenship. And in the process of building our website, what can we do to build the platforms and products that can help people at scale? Because if you look at the nonprofit space, we're pretty far advanced in terms of technology. How can we bring that stuff back? So I'm going to geek out a little bit. And you know how like in Star Trek, they got the prime directive that you don't share your technology? So I'm going down this road. I don't care if you watch Star Trek or not. So in the Star Trek, they have this directive that you don't share technology with other folks. You know, if you got the advanced technology, you keep it to yourself. We ain't doing that shit. All right. What we're doing is we're going to go out and we're going to help other people be more effective in what they do. We're going to help them get faster. We're going to help them get stronger, because as veterans and military spouses, that's what we do. We make shit happen. So that's what we're focusing on right now. We want to find ways that we can engage new learners, not just in learning, but also contributing to open source, contributing not just to our website, but products that can help a lot of people. Because ultimately, if you want a job and you can point to something you're building, what better indicator is that? Like, a lot of folks will put a lot of bullshit on their resume, and you're going to come in and you're going to be like, I built this thing. It's here. You can see all the code. I worked as a team already. I did all this stuff already because I'm a veteran and a military spouse, and we know how to work as a team. And we want to double down on that and find ways that more people can serve through engineering. If you look at Team Rubicon, they serve in disaster relief, right? Or Team Red, White, and Blue. We want to give the opportunity for veterans and military spouses to serve through what they build and what they make. So alongside that, we got Hacktoberfest coming up, and we're going to need more contributors. We're going to need more of our newbies and more of our mentors to come in and start contributing code. And there's going to be a lot of work to do on that. But this is a little bit new for us, right? Like, we've always had this open source site, and we've always used it to sustain what we do. But maybe we can turn that into like a core part of our mission. Because so many of you guys, like, some of you are learning, and some of you are applying for jobs, but some of you are in those jobs, and you're making things happen. So let's find ways that we can enable folks to continue to make things happen, contributing code, pushing code, and building really awesome things. Because ultimately, as engineers, we love to make things. I love to make things. I make useless shit all the time. At the instant I make something, it turns into tech debt. I know that. I do it anyway because it's great and it's fun. So let's keep doing that. All right, so I've talked about the open source, and I've talked about like how we want to focus on contributing and building more stuff. I've talked about how we want to get newbies contributing to open source. We want to get mentors contributing to open source. We want to get all those folks bringing into that. What the fuck is going on in general right now?
Okay. Ignore general. Ignore. Just pay no attention.
All right, I will. Thank you. Okay, so there's a couple of moves that are happening right now in the organization as we kind of tighten things up and get everything squared away. So David Reese, he's not on Slack so much because he's been handling a lot of administrative stuff that we needed to take care of. So he's going to be moving to the board, and he's been, in the position of acting COO, and moving into his place will be Jen Whiteman. And she has done so much to help us push out our message, to help us tighten up a lot of our processes. There's a lot of stuff that's been happening in the background, and Jen and David Reese have been a key part of making that happen. So I want to say thank you for Jen for stepping up and helping make this stuff happen. So let's take a minute and tell Jen how awesome she is.
Jen, you're awesome.
Jen is awesome. Jen's so awesome. She's the chief of stuff. She's pretty much the most awesome. Okay, more people jump in here, all right? Okay, it's happening on Slack, so that's good.
Awesome,
I tell
Jen.
her every day.
Jen, you're awesome, but I'm still waiting on something.
Oh, thank you guys. And I'll get to you, David. I'm sorry.
Hey, is my microphone working? But Jen, you're awesome.
No, it's not working, Kevin. We can't hear you.
Got it.
I also want to take a second to recognize all the developers who have been working to resolve issues, submit pull requests, and somehow mentor and help people at the same time, and like have jobs. That's incredible. Like everything that Kyle, John Hampton, Harry, like Wimmo, long common name, you need to decide what your name is. I'm gonna call you William now. Like all the things that you all are doing, like, is incredible. Like all the open source contributions, leading, showing other people how to do it, showing other people how to onboard. I don't know if he's here, but I'm saying this anyway because he might watch the live stream. George Maurer, I know Ashley, you're gonna hate the fact that I called him out, but he is also doing some good things too. And like his answers, he's always available to answer questions. He's always available to help people, and that's really what it's all about. James Larimer, he's overseas, engaged in Operation Code, also engaging with the enemy in close combat. I imagine. I think he's a campaign job, but you know what I mean. Middle East, downrange. You get the idea. You know what it's about. Sean McBride. Sean McBride, you're on this call, and I wanted to say thank you for stepping up and being willing to help us build out our chapter in DC. There's such a need in DC, and the fact that you came in and got the scholarship and you're giving back is like, that's what it's all about. Finding ways to give back to the community, help the next generation, help the next folks. Ashley, I link cat pics here all the time. I don't know what bullshit you're talking about. All right, and I want to take a second and recognize Aaron Suarez and Kelly McLeod. Like, everything that Aaron has been doing to help corral the mentorship program, greet people, be involved in the community has been amazing. And Kelly, I want to take a second and recognize Kelly, because Kelly has been doing so much behind the scenes to greet and help us associate stuff and stir the pot and basically cause conflict. It's amazing. I love it. I love it. Everything that you're doing is making us better, Kelly. So I want to take a second and recognize everything that Kelly has done. Like the stuff with Top Coder, that provides real opportunities for veterans. That's providing real money to code and make things happen. So if you all aren't like part of the Top Coder channel, check that out, because why not, right? Like, why not take a look?
Although they use way too much at all, at everyone, at channel.
Do they?
Gee, oh my gosh. It's like every day there's like 5
And there's our very own Bob McCann. Bob McCann, Lito, all the stuff that you're doing with the contributions, that's awesome. The New Yorkers, let me take a second and recognize the New Yorkers here. Now, I'm from Boston, so like I could just be like, fuck y'all, because, you know, Boston. I could just do that, but I'm not going to do that because I'm classier than that, all right? So I want to recognize like all the stuff that Aubrey and Kevin and Kenny and Evans are doing to build that chapter in New York City, because they just had this meetup at Condé Nast, and I heard it was the shits. Kevin, can you represent?
Sure. Yeah, we had an amazing time. Condé Nast just came through at the last moment and just actually, hold on a second. Is my camera working?
Yes, it is. We have somebody else who wants to show their face. That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if the background is distracting or not, but anyway, yeah, the New York City chapter is definitely growing. There's a lot of the ground support coming from underneath. We have everybody just contributing towards it. It's not coming from me or like Evans and coming down. It's the people that are the members that's going out and grabbing other members. So it's growing at a really fast rate. For Condé Nast, we actually had to limit at 40, and we had to cut people out. And yeah, like before we just got 40, we wouldn't have been happy. But now we're realizing that 40, like we actually get more than that. So also another thing, I really have to say for New York City, Evans has been a huge driver. He really has been like the heart and soul of New York City. He doesn't really talk on Slack that much, but he is definitely the foundation of New York City. So wanted to give him a shout out.
He's the man, and like make fun of him a little bit for me. Not too much, you know, don't hurt his feelings, but just make fun of him the appropriate military way. All right.
booyah.
Excellent, excellent. David Marchand. David, you stepped up to help us organize a lot of the stuff that we got going on the open source side. And for those of you who've done product management, like recognize what a beehive that is to do. Now add like the open source aspect and the volunteers and just like multiply it by 10. And David Marchand stepped up and is like, I'm going to make this shit happen. And he has. And David, we thank you for it. It's amazing. Is he unmuting? Yeah, okay, he is unmuting. I got you unmuted. That's good. So thank you.
My pleasure.
And I wanted to save the best for last. Ashley. Turn on that camera, Ashley. Let's see it.
Come on, Ashley.
Come on, Ashley. You don't have to. It's fine.
Don't show us your WoW tune. Show us your real face. Come on.
All right. You don't have a camera. It's fine. But Ashley has done so much with this community, helping with the scholarships, helping with the mentorships, coordinating all that, building all that out, working with William and Alan to build out that bot, working tirelessly to be engaged and and help this community take it to the next level. Like, we would not be where we are right now if it was not for Ashley contributing and giving back and making all this stuff happen. You know what? I think you do have a camera. I think you're holding out on us.
I believe.
All right. So like,
come on, Ashley.
Come on, Ashley. Yeah, that's right. She probably can't do it when she's recording.
We believe in you.
All right, this time, Ashley. This time. All right. So both Ashley and David Marchand are going to be helping us take this to the next level when it comes to the website, when it comes to the Slack bots, when it comes to the infrastructure, and helping lead out this product. So I want to thank both of them for stepping up. And with that, David Molina, our board chair. David, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I wanted to leave.
You guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. No, hey, thanks, Conrad, for running us through the State of Operation Code. Been in some exciting years. We've had some serious downs, but we've had more highs than anything else. From chapter growth to leadership at the volunteer level to the open source contributions to the gala we held last year, one and only, and just incredible. You know, in the news, I got a message from New York. Evan, I believe that we were on CBS Radio or CBS TV, something like that, and that was just incredible. I shared that on Facebook. But some incredible stuff. Let me tell you guys what we're doing at the board level. At the board level, I came onto the board in succession. Conrad replaced me as CEO, and I went to the board and working on fine-tuning the board in terms of positions. Currently on the board, we have myself, Dr. James Davis, Conrad Holloman, and we have soon to have David Reese on the board. So there's 4 right there, and we've been mulling over a few other board members. What we've learned at the board since starting inception here in 2014 is that it's not just enough to bring people to the board of directors. I think in the beginning, we wanted loyalist folks that would sort of support the mission, be there, sign off on things, And so what we did at the beginning, the founding board, we had a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of entrepreneurs like Nick Frost, Josh Carter, who moved on to other assignments in the world. Josh Carter is now the leader of Patriot Boot Camp. And so we've had a lot of that. Some of the folks that we had on the board, like Mark Kerr, are forward deployed right now somewhere in the world. And he's still involved as sort of honorary chairman emeritus. And then the next sort of batch of board members that we had were some entrepreneurs, but a little bit more corporate type. Maybe some folks that came from the White House, some policy. They were really connected dots kind of folks. And they were really short-lived. It was just really 6 months, under a year. And what we learned with that crowd is I think that's okay. But what we were looking more for people is people that actually came from the community. We also had a couple of months here with 2 other ladies as well. Lisa and Eliza Rodewald and Stacy Chin, just incredible, passionate about military spouses, passionate about entrepreneurship. What we also found is a little bit of disconnect because while we're talking about grants and doing stuff at the board level, there was a little bit of disconnect because what we view as a board is really top down, sort of laying the strategy, supporting the CEO, looking at high-level fundraisers, things like that. It's really at the staff level that's handled at the grants and those kinds of things. And so they stepped down. And right now we're sort of down to about 4 people. And the intent here is really fine-tuning the board in terms of the welcome packet, what that looks like when we onboard a new board member, not just something on GitHub, but something more structured. We're working with general counsel, our legal counsel out of Miami to straighten that out so that as a new board member comes on board, there's not only a welcome packet, confidentiality agreements, other stuff, things like that. But as well as having folks on the board that have open source experience. So it's not just the CEO writing the minutes at all time, but somebody else on the board that can write the minutes in Markdown, put them on GitHub, approve them so that the community here, each of you, have access to those board minutes, the agendas, and things like that so that you know what we're discussing, what we're moving forward on. But at the end of the day, it's really high level. And so once we finalize this whole piece with the board catch-up resolutions in terms of the new board members that we have on board, we've had 1 board meeting here recently in the last 30, 45 days. We're going to expeditiously move forward here with Conrad and the agenda, the new business that he wants approval on. And it's not just on things that we think are board members, like the budget and things like that. It's more high level. It's more like, hey, we're moving forward on these revenue product markets or these things that we want to make revenue on or money on. We need your thoughts and ideas on this, or really high level, just not for us to get into the weeds, as they say, but for us to really look, sort of subjectively at the entire picture, objectively, and look at it the whole really 360 and go, how can we improve? How can we make it better? And those kinds of things. So we got that going on. One thing we have on the burner here for 2018, we're waiting on some stuff to finalize with legal and some stuff that Conrad has asked for us. Once that's said and done, we brought on a designer. We haven't paid a dime yet. We haven't paid a dime to the print shop, but we're going to have a magazine that's going to come out here in the coming months. We were aiming for August, 4th of July. That didn't pan out because the design shop, the print shop, they all need funds up front to print the stuff. And so it's not something that they just put it on credit for net 30. These are things that have to be paid out up front. So if we're going to print 500 of these magazines, then that has to be paid up front, both the design and the print cost. And each of these magazines, we're going to highlight stories from around the globe of what Operation Code is doing, not just in Kuwait or anywhere else in the country, but also those chapters and what they're doing, highlighting some success stories, highlighting those individuals that have gone to not just code schools, but software conferences, and what are they doing now with those skill sets. The individuals that are working by day, to hold down a job, but by night they're coding because of what they learned at Treehouse or scholarships, Udacity. We want to highlight those stories. That's what we want to do in the magazine. We've also learned that in what we do with Operation Code is that we meet a lot of our people. In the beginning, it was with Twitter. It was through GitHub. That's how we learned. That's how we recruited. Later, Facebook came on board, and Instagram, and even LinkedIn. But that was years later. Our original net group of people came from Twitter. And today we're on all the social media outlets. And we also have a YouTube channel, thanks to Jennifer, our incoming COO. And so the intent here with the magazine is to reach people, especially veterans and military spouses, in places where if they've never heard of the internet, if they've never heard of GitHub, if they've never heard of open source, where else can you learn about veterans? Where else are you going to meet veterans? We're talking VA clinics here. We're talking CBOCs. We're talking American Legion halls, VFW halls. We're talking about places where veterans congregate, in physical spaces, maybe fairs. A lot of counties, like in Oregon, for example, and even in Washington, even Delaware, where my last duty assignment was, we have veteran service officers. We want to issue these magazines out to veteran service officers across the country, so when the VSOs are visiting active duty bases to give trainings to, transitioning service members, we want them to say, hey, and if a hand goes up, hey, what about a career in tech? What do you know about that? A VSO can pick up that magazine and say, hey, have you ever heard of Operation Code? Here's a magazine, skim through it. This is my only copy. And bam, a veteran right there at Dover Air Force Base or at Nellis Air Force Base or anywhere else around the world can really read up on it and learn through Operation Code without ever touching a keyboard in GitHub, open source, and they can learn through it through the magazine and then join us shortly thereafter. The intent also with the magazine is to be able to get subscriptions going, just like you would a regular magazine. So maybe it's $5, and it's just delivered to your doorstep. And then another envelope that's for donations so that the team here, Operation Code, has the resources. Conrad, Jen, Ashley, they have the resources. Kelly has the resources so that they can execute and meet more targets. And so that's what we're moving forward on this year, a magazine. It'll be in the physical space. So far, we've only been on GitHub, social media, email marketing. We tell people, hit us up on our website. We want to be able to reach veterans and, in places where they may never have heard of us or maybe never even considered, a career in tech by catching that magazine. So we're moving on that. I'm pretty excited and stoked about that. At the board level, I would be honest with you. I've been on the board since the beginning of time, but now I have a vote, and because I've always been ex officio. And so it's pretty exciting to work with Conrad now on the board. We have a little app that we use and we communicate almost on I'd say like 3 times a day. It's called Voxer. And so it's short snippets of communication. It's been a while between Conrad and I and David Reese, and now we have one with Jen. And it's how I sort of have a pulse of Operation Code beyond just jumping in Slack and kind of skimming and trolling what's going on.
Their phone.
But in Voxer, it's pretty exciting because Conrad can give me a sort of a pulse of conversations he's having with agencies or military personnel or nonprofits, etc. And that gives me a pulse of sort of the team of what's going on. So, I want to, really take a second here to, commend Conrad in his leadership, his selfless service, to not only, country, but also to the organization and each and every one of you, each and every one of us, and what he does continues to do. He was one of our pretty fearless leaders that came on board in early 2016 2 years after we started this thing, and he just jumped to it. And like each of you that are sort of following in his footsteps and sort of taking up the mantle in each area of the organization, whether it's in scholarships or conferences or in fundraising or in open source or in mentorship or whatever it may be, you guys are sort of building upon that. And, I'm all ears, in terms of your guys' ideas and what needs to happen. But at the end of the day, those ideas are going to get flushed out on Slack. They're going to get built by each and every one of us, and they're going to get contributed by each and every one of us. At the board level, we're just going to make sure that we're going to meet compliance. We're going to make sure we're going to be promoting CFC and capital the fundraising that's done through the federal government. So we're going to be moving on that later this year, as well as the magazine, to make sure that on the physical space, more veterans who need to know that there is an outlet, that there are other veterans and spouses that care about other veterans and spouses, a community of like-minded folks in tech and want to see us succeed post-military is out there. And it's a real thing. And it lives on the internet. And that's a very powerful thing that we want to make sure that more folks, just like each and every one of us, can find a community and gravitate to, feel welcome, feel nurtured, feel supported, et cetera. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Conrad, but very stoked to see everything that's being built and done, and pretty excited to see where we continue to go.
David, you're the best, buddy.
Oh, thanks, guys. You guys are the best.
Awesome. Thanks, David. And real quick, this ain't like a change of command, so I know none of you are like at parade rest right now, but let's take a minute, and if you got any questions as to like what we're doing, what we're up to, we're all ears. Let's put some questions out there. What do you got for me, guys?
Hey, I want to hear what Kyle's doing right now. What are they doing on the front end right now? What's the biggest project going on?
I can speak on that if you want. Am I audible?
We can hear you.
All right, sweet. Yeah, so John and David have been super helpful in just kind of like doing what's necessary to maintain the current repository. I linked earlier in general the URL for the new repository. There are issues open, and it's definitely in a state where it's like ready for other people to contribute. Kind of like a step-by-step process is going on right now to where we want to replace the front end with this new repo. It's not going to be the same kind of drastic switch where we had previously, where it was completely changing the entire architecture of the application. We're basically just subbing out one React app for another one. And now that I'm like, the first one was done, the reason this change came is because, one, it's not very performant, and two, it was coded by a few PIs that were like learning React as they coded, which is pretty cool, but it doesn't lend itself to like a really helpful code base for new developers. There's a lot of weird contextual knowledge that's required to make edits in certain places. So the main benefit that we're hoping to get out of the new architecture is to create a code base that's a lot more navigable for new developers. Additionally, we're hoping that we're going to create like a much more performant website that lends itself to much stronger search engine optimization. Hopefully that summarizes everything that's necessary.
Awesome.
I'm so excited that we're going to have a better avenue for new coders. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
Making shit happen. Kyle, I complimented you, but you hadn't joined the call yet, so I'm not doing it twice. Just know that.
Sounds good to me. Never happened.
He never did. He's lying. He didn't say a word.
All right. So something else that we're looking at is engaging companies to try to contribute to some of these open source projects. With Hacktober, I've had a couple of conversations with the HR department at Facebook,
me a soda.
engaging some of their React engineers. They got something going on with GraphQL though, so they're real keen on GraphQL. I ain't gonna go down that road just yet, but I don't know. Seth's not on the call, is he? I know he loves GraphQL. Maybe later. Any other questions? You can type questions. Yeah, go ahead. Go.
So the GraphQL, can you explain that a little bit more?
I'm just kidding. We're not doing GraphQL, but it's sort of a different approach than like kind of REST APIs. But don't worry. Sorry I brought it up. We're not going in that direction right now.
Cool. Yeah, no, I love GraphQL. Hope we do it at work, but yeah, I just don't know if it's necessary for Operation Code.
Roger, we don't want to be that experimental just yet. I think if it would have more industry adoption, maybe we'd think about it, but not right now.
Can you explain a little bit about what you're doing with Maggie and the accelerator and the product?
Yeah, totally. So Maggie and I have been bouncing around, kind of looking at a little bit more the advocacy piece, right? We've been looking at how we can shine a light on sort of what it takes to get veterans in technology from more of a national kind of legislative type standpoint. And one of the things that we were looking at is, you recall a little while ago, the Forever GI Bill got passed. And there's a piece in there that carves out about 12 million specifically for veterans in technology training. And the VA is trying to figure out how to spend that and how to like make sure that that goes to actually making good shit happen. So we've been in talks with some of the other organizations to figure out, okay, so how do we make sure that there's a good plan for this? And this doesn't just go to like another Corinthian or ITT Tech or like some other scandal. Like, you know, we want to make sure that the VA knows like why they should like go to a coding boot camp, or why they should go to some sort of program that's about modern technologies like JavaScript or like Python, or like something that's focused on data science and really modern technology skills. So that's been a little bit of what Maggie and I have been working on. What else y'all got?
I actually was curious. I had an idea that I proposed. God, I think it's been a year ago. Basically, I wanted to know if we could try to venture after maybe being considered like an accreditable internship for college students. I think, you know, our open source ventures are really cool, and it is awesome that we advocate for new developers, especially veterans, to be able to contribute to the code base. I find that most of our open source contributions are actually not related. They're legitimately open source, people that just kind of do drive-by fixes. That's the largest majority of our PRs. And so I was curious, like, because if we can get ourselves to be like legitimately considered as an opportunity for internships for colleges, then that would be like a great source of muscle for like open source. And definitely as an aside, but also kind of similar, like, let's not forget to be on Google Summer of Code this year. We have to apply a lot earlier than we keep thinking.
Yeah, I know. And we were just talking about Google Summer of Code not too long ago. We want to find ways that we can prove out that model just a little bit, and not just engage with Google Summer of Code, but also engage with Red Hat and try to find ways that we can transform this into a little bit more of a program. We were looking at some other stuff like apprenticeships as ways to like possibly half fund it. So those are all conversations that we've been going through. For context regarding SkillBridge, so right now what we're looking at is another program where if you're, let's say, like 60 to 90 days from ETS, I think it's actually no. If you're more than 90 days out of ETS, we can try to work to get you with a tech company so that like you're being paid by the military as you leave the service, but you're working at that tech company and getting an education that way. So if any of you are still active duty and want to evaluate that as an option, just, you know, raise your hand, bring it up to one of us, and we can try to pursue that for you. So Kyle, to answer your question, those are the few of the irons that we have in the fire. You're absolutely right about Google Summer of Code. We want to find ways that we can take that, but expand it just beyond Google too. Like, and so like we want to try to work with other organizations that might be interested in sponsoring something like that.
All right. Yeah, and I know money is always a big concern. That the reason why the ability to become a credible resource for internships, it would be great because, you know, that's, I mean, I know I hate the idea of free labor, but it's not free if it provides credit for somebody in college. And I'm sure, like, you know, a college student that's a sophomore or junior or senior would be able to get a paying internship somewhere, but maybe we're available for like freshmen who like are really new to code.
Roger, agreed.
Any interest in researching, Kyle, that and seeing what it would take? Since
yeah, I have no idea about the accreditation process. It might even just be like on a university by university basis. Like maybe they determine who's a credible resource for the internship process. Because we're not trying to be like come an accredited school, right? We would just want to be considered a viable options so a student can get credits for internship as a class.
Absolutely correct. And one of the things I've been a little closely related with this with my school is it depends on the certification that your programs have, whether it be a CS or a web dev or whatever. My school is ABET accredited, and they have like very specific requirements. Other accreditations are a little less restrictive. So it would be definitely school by school by school.
Yeah, and if that's the case, like, maybe I can talk to my alma mater and, staff there and see what I can organize.
That'd be awesome. We'd love to try to find ways we can prove this out. All right. Anything else? Any alibis?
I wasn't there. You got nothing on me, Copper C?
If you end this call without, I will end you.
Without? No, I will not end this call without. But I will say thank you all for coming and listening. We're going to try to do these more often as we move forward, because I think it's good for all of us to come together at the same time and talk about what we're doing. I want to celebrate our victories. Every time somebody gets a job, every time somebody makes some good stuff happen, let's talk about it. Let's bring up those good things. Let's bring up those success stories and inspire each other and motivate each other. Well, I'm going to say who. Is that okay? Are you allowed to do that, Kelly?
No. No. Let it go.
All right.
Aww.
I am going to grab some dinner, and I did not say tech. Shit. All right. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Peace.